thanks very much, Olivia, for giving us an amazing talk on 21st century goddess spirituality and ancient mythology. I think the first thing I'd like to ask you really is about your general area of research, so that we have a bit of a context to what you've actually talked about today.
Well, I think it will always be a process of narrowing it down because it's a massive topic. Generally, my thesis is looking at 21st century goddess spirituality, Anglo-American, and how they revive ancient goddess cults from the Mediterranean in order to try and have some sort of focus and narrow it down. I'm specifically interested in the cults of Aphrodite, Isis, and Hecate. Just as an attempt to narrow it down, really, but we'll see how that changes. At the moment, I'm writing about Aphrodite, and there's so much there. I'm particularly interested in how goddess devotees today both reconstruct and revive ancient goddess worship, but also very much innovate it for a modern day, and then the implications of what that means for scholars, and very much this relationship that goddess devotees have with scholarship and scholars and vice versa. The history of that hasn't been particularly friendly, and I really think that needs to change, and it is changing. It definitely is, and this is my attempt, my contribution towards that change.
That's wonderful. Could you sum up your talk today a little bit for us as well?
So my talk today was specifically about feminist myth-busting and how ancient classical female figures have become icons for feminine empowerment, or feminist empowerment more broadly. I take more of an interest in the spiritual implications of that, but because goddess spirituality is interwoven with secular feminism as well, it kind of blurs between. So this talk, again, in order to keep it kind of brief, focused on Medusa and Athena, and reinterpreting that myth in a more empowering version, and then also challenging the ideas related to Aphrodite's one-dimensional image and idealization of beauty, and how by reinterpreting that, again, it will have a more empowering effect on feminists today, and how both of them definitely affect women and female feminists, but feminism and society in general as well.
And I mean, following your talk, I have to say we had a very long series of questions, and I think people were particularly fascinated by the different cultural aspects of your topic, and particularly the way you really open up lots of new debates. I mean, not just about feminism, but about intersectionality of various kinds. Would you like to say a few more things about that?
I think that nothing exists in isolation, and we're very much in a web where one thing affects another, and it's so hard to look at one topic in isolation as if it's not affected and impacted by various other influences, and that it doesn't have an effect on various different people receiving it. And so very much, because I'm focusing on 21st century goddess spirituality as a feminist approach to spirituality, in the 21st century, the fourth wave of feminism is coming, and that is all about intersectionality and inclusivity, and in a way it makes things really difficult to handle because it's so broad. But that is what we need now. We live very much in the internet age where, you know, I'm writing about Anglo-American as a place to start, but what does that really mean? Because actually Anglo-American goddess spirituality is an international movement. And so within British goddess spirituality, I have Italian teachers coming in. So it's really hard to define things and limit and pick what bits you're going to use or not, because it's all interrelated. And you'll find that goddess spirituality advocates are picking information from all sorts of different directions. So, you know, that really reminds me how everything is interlinked. And though, you know, my degree, my PhD comes under historical studies, well, that includes classics, and it will include Egyptology and reception studies and pagan studies. So in a way, I'm trying to look at a broad picture here but also trying to keep it narrow at the same time, and that's really challenging, but impossible to avoid. That is the nature of goddess spirituality. This is what these women are going to be doing to me for the next 4 years and maybe more.
There is nothing narrow about this work. I think that's absolutely clear. Thomas, do you have another question?
No, I think that's all we need for today. That
Yeah,
was a brilliant talk. And just once more say that this was a record-breaking one, and the emails keeps coming in to say that was a brilliant talk. So
I'm glad.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. Really opened up our horizons of this seminar series as well, and I think that was really necessary and wonderful. So thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity as well.